Welcome to Slay, the podcast where we dive into all aspects of female health, fitness, and life. I'm your host, Louise Hazel, and in today's episode, we're going to be exploring the notion of what it means to be enough. In a world where the pursuit of perfection is omnipresent, women's bodies have become a battleground for the societal expectations, personal ambitions, and unrelenting scrutiny. From the glossy pages of fashion magazines to curated feeds of social media influencers, the pressure to attain an idealized physique is pervasive and often unforgiving. Today, we explore the intricate dynamics of why, for many women, achieving a physical personal best never seems to be enough. Now, as a female gym owner, the past 12 months has been a crazy time for us personal trainers as we navigate a new world of injectable weight loss drugs with old misinformation about how to achieve the perfect physique. I've almost felt as though the conversations that we're having in our safe space have become more about aesthetics and less about athletics, more about pounds lost than about pounds lifted. So, in an attempt to redress the balance and remind our clients of just how amazing and adaptable their bodies are, I introduced them to the Slay Combined Events Challenge. I surprised my clients with an end of month testing week, something I would do every 4 weeks as an elite athlete. Instead of their usual training session, they would be put to test over 3 events. The first event, the long stair sprint, consists of sprinting up 8 flights of stairs from the lower parking level of our building to ground level as quickly as possible, the ultimate test of speed and agility. The second event, the overhead 8-pound medicine ball task, consists of throwing a medicine ball as far as you can for distance, the ultimate expression of power. And last but not least, the final event, the trap bar deadlift, 3 rep max, which consists of lifting as much weight as possible for 3 repetitions, the ultimate test of physical strength. Safe to say, the days of success amongst my clients, they surprise themselves with new personal best performances and they relish the opportunity to place on top of the leaderboard in a single event. Not one woman complained about it being competitive. In fact, they wanted to know exactly how well they'd done in comparison to our other athletes. They wanted to know how far from first place they were, who they'd have to beat in order to take the crown, and what they needed to work on technically and physically to come out as top dog. Because the stakes are high here at Slay. At the end of the year, as well as the single event champion, one woman will be crowned the Queen of Slay as we combine all of our scores together for the ultimate 7 event Slay challenge. We'll find out who really came to slay. Now, I'll forever remember this day in the gym. The beautiful thing about it was that everybody left feeling good about themselves, proud of their bodies, and motivated to do better. It was a whole vibe. Now, fast forward 2 weeks later, and one of my clients who's been crushing her gym goals every day, she shows up, she exceeds her expectations, and achieves personal best day in, day out. She walks out feeling empowered and ready to take on the world. Now, last week, she set herself an outstanding personal best in the trap bar deadlift. And frankly, I'd never seen anything like it. Her technique was spot on. She looked the strongest I'd ever seen. Yet she told me that that day she got home, jumped on the scale, and immediately felt like a failure. Now, this led her down a rabbit hole of spiraling negative emotions until the next morning when she woke up, set a new personal best in the bench press, and then started the same cycle all over again. Even though she knows that the scale is just a small part of her journey, she said she just couldn't help herself. And as I contemplated breaking into her home and removing every single scale in sight, I reminded myself that first and foremost, that would be illegal. And secondly, that this is her journey, not mine. As our conversation continued, we acknowledged that she'd fallen into an unhealthy pattern of behavior by measuring her weight every night. And that was not conducive to her feeling good about her body long term. And we agreed that it was a negative cycle that she'd need to break in order to start feeling better about herself. If she was to start a journey of true self healing, she'd need to stop looking at the scale before bed or even at all. Now, as two intelligent women, we also acknowledge that this was a choice. She was choosing this destructive path. The question I asked myself is, was she choosing consciously or subconsciously? I had no idea of the answer, but I did know that she'd need to choose a different path for herself. And she'd need to choose it consistently and with commitment. Our conversation affected me. It's because it's one that I have with women on a daily basis. She developed an addictive and toxic relationship with the scale. And as a result, the appreciation that she had for her body at the beginning of the day had dissolved into self loathing by night. I couldn't help but wonder, where did this cycle come from? Was it home environment? Was it growing up among sisters? Was it societal pressure? Was it misinformation from the media? Wherever it was stemming from, I looked forward to helping her work through some of the stuff in our follow up conversations. But it suddenly dawned on me that I'm an instrumental part of that cycle. I'd helped to cultivate an environment for her that meant that she could start her day in a positive way. I'd created a training program where her strengths knew no limits and her weaknesses were leveling up. Or had I just helped her to create another distraction? A healthy distraction nonetheless, from the real work. I couldn't help but wonder if this is part of the human condition. Are we all just procrastinating until we aren't? And just how many of us have created systems that make us feel good about ourselves externally whilst neglecting what's going on internally? Had the gym become a distraction from doing the work? Or was the gym becoming a gateway to the work? Personally, I'd prefer the idea of the latter. Now, in an ideal world, all of my clients would show up mentally, physically, and emotionally healed and ready to slay. But that's not how the real world works. And that's not necessarily how healing works. You see, I don't see my job as a trainer as being about how to create the best personal training plan. Sure, that helps. But ultimately, I know that my job is about helping my clients to heal their bodies. Ultimately, I know that no amount of squats, burpees, Ozempic, or bench press can heal trauma, body image issues, and a lack of self worth. That's not the job of a barbell, nor the job of a therapist or a doctor. That's the work that only your soul can do. And as a trainer, I know that when people are on the verge of a soul awakening, it's because their spirit is restless. It won't sit still. It doesn't like silence and it's in conflict and it's calling the body to grow and do the uncomfortable shit, to face its demons. But the beauty that awaits those who are brave enough to embark on a journey is a breathtaking transformation of true alignment. And once we achieve physical and emotional alignment, that's when the results really stick. That's when health becomes abundant. That's when we're thriving. And that to me is what it really means to slay. Now, during our conversation, I praised her for how far she'd come, but I also let her know that the real work hadn't even begun yet. You see, for some people, showing up to the gym is easy. It feels natural, enjoyable, challenging. Not only does it boost mood, it also boosts self esteem. For those people, often the thing that needs to be fixed is on the inside. And I explained to my friend that even the best athletes in the world can throw down astonishing performances that can make your jaw drop whilst running from inner turmoil, whether that be physical or an emotional mental mess. And the reason I know this is because I am one of them. But in order to become a whole person, a complete person, that takes a different type of work. In fact, some of my best ever sporting performances, like winning a gold medal or competing at the Olympic Games, were achieved during a period of immense grief. It wasn't until I stopped competing as a professional athlete did I take the time to really do some inner work. Now, what do I mean by inner work? Some people would call it soul searching, others would call it healing, but ultimately, I thought about it as intentionally spending some time with myself, getting to know myself again after track and field, and getting to like myself again, and establish my own set of values and create a vision for how I wanted to show up in the world and who I wanted to be. I spent 4 months by myself here in LA with no close friends or family nearby to enable me. I entered into a period of celibacy for the sole purpose of loving myself. And during that time, I walked alone. I hiked alone. I went to the gym alone. I booked dinner reservations for one. I vacationed solo. I went to the cinema on my own. I read books. I wrote poems. I searched for botanical gardens and I meditated. And as a person who has very few vulnerable bones in their body, I felt the most grounded I've ever been. I felt whole and complete. And even though there were people and pieces missing from my life, I had everything that I needed. I was, and I am, at peace with who I am. And that doesn't mean that I don't want more or expect more from myself as I go through life, but I go to sleep at night knowing I'm going to be okay. So it upsets me when I hear that my friends are struggling. I feel compelled to help fix them and to help them when they get stuck because I too have been stuck. I've been stuck more times than a post it note. Now, the reality is, however, that sometimes we fail to celebrate our wins. Sometimes we don't even acknowledge them because we choose to focus on the wrong things. So I say this to say, all of the new mothers out there that are fretting over lumps and bumps right now, hold your babies close to your heart and remember that you did that. Your body did that. To all those of you who achieved a personal best in the gym this week, you did that. Your body did that. And to all those of you who have recently lost someone, you're still here standing strong. Your body is carrying you through. Remember just how much your body has to do on a daily basis just to keep you here with us. Let's shift our focus from aesthetics to athletics, from thinness to health, and from criticism to acceptance. We need to celebrate the diversity of our body types and the unique qualities that each of us bring to the event. We can create a culture where a personal best is not just about physical appearance, but simply about being here, alive, well, and present. Because when we take back our power into our own hands, we're all winners. That concludes this episode of Slay. Stay tuned for more empowering discussions on female health, fitness, and life. You can follow me at Louise Hazel on social media, and you can check out the Slay brand at Slay Athletic. Now, don't forget to subscribe to the Slay podcast if you haven't done so already on Spotify, and leave us a review. You can also get the tools and resources from our podcast from the Slay app. You can download it now from the App Store for free and join our online community.